Call to order the committee of the whole of the Board of Education for Echo Valley School District, Monday, December 12th, 2022 at 6 p.m. at Wilson School. And roll call. Audrey Adamson. Here. Justin Anderson. Chuck Smith. Here. Pete Schaefer. Here. Maria S. Trujillo. Here. Andrew Mayer. Here. Aaron Walton Smith. Here. We have approval of the minutes of November 14th, 2022. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Public comment. Next meeting. Spotlight. I knew that.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jim Thompson. I'm the assistant principal here at Wilson. Dave Brown is our dean of students. Our principal, Bob, can't be here tonight. He's actually attending the Raising Student Achievement Conference with other educators from the district. But he does wish that he could be here. So I just wanted to make sure that. All right. So one of the things that we've been fortunate to do this year at Wilson is start to get back to normal. And it's been wonderful to have all of our students back in the building full time, every day, 5 days a week. But we had to help our students kind of get used to that again, so we had to come up with an transition back into a full normal schedule and full basically what you do throughout the school. We came up with something called Wildcat Walks, which Mr. Brown's going to talk about.
Having everybody back, we wanted to reset our behavioral expectations, and that's what the Wildcat Walk was. It was a school-wide behavioral expectation tour taught by administrators, counselors, and it was seen by every single student and teacher over the course of 3 or 4 days. And so what they did was every single person rotated through those 5 stations and heard from us what our school expectations were. We think that really helped reset and set what we wanted to see for the students.
So of course, having people back in the building is always fun. One of the wonderful things we're able to really get our extracurriculars back rolling again. For example, in our athletics, all of our teams are back to normal with full schedule, full participation in all sports. Our cross country team won their sectionals and qualified for state. 7th and 8th grade volleyball teams had successful seasons, and they were really happy to be able to renew the tradition of playing the final game against John Deere at the field house. Our boys basketball team did the same on Wednesday. They were that as well. Our 8th grade girls volleyball team was also able to raise money for the University of Children's Hospital by playing a game against our staff members. We charge admission and all admission went to the hospital. It was a pretty full house, and they were able to see a dominant performance by our girls volleyball team. Pretty handily destroying our staff members. In addition to athletics, our musical performances are up and running. We've got our band and choir teams have been able to showcase their talent both in and out of school. In addition to the concerts they've had here at the school, our marching band took place at the homecoming parade. Choir has performed in the community a few times in Festival Trees. We've been able to have assemblies again, which is something really nice. None of the students in our building had ever been to an assembly until October of this year. So we had our first assembly in October, an anti-bullying assembly. The Veterans Day assembly we had on November 10th, really well done. We had dozens of veterans that were associated with people in the school that were all introduced. And then we had Lieutenant Colonel Jose Medina from the Rockdale Marching speak our experience in the United States Army. In addition to the assemblies, musical performance in athletics. We're finally able to have dances again. Yeah, that's something none of our students have ever had. So the wonderful thing about having dances again is that was actually the first thing we had canceled back in 2020. We had a dance scheduled for March 13th, 2020, and we had to cancel that. So finally, about a month ago, we had our 6th grade dance in early November. It was attended by nearly half of 6th graders. And then this last Friday, our 7th and 8th graders had their Winter Wonderland dance held up here in the gym. And we had over 325 students show up. And we had over 20 staff and parent volunteers come to help out, just to make sure that our students had a really good time and really well attended. Everybody had a really good time. It's a great event. But of course, it's not just extracurriculars. We also have, personal. So what we've done is we've added Lego League part of our curriculum. The competitive Lego robotics that use the lights on learning for 90% of years. Recognizing the importance of STEM-based education, teaching more than just math and science, we wanted to implement a class with hands-on learning, real applications. To help all the students in the building develop a variety of skills, including creativity, 21st century skills, overall problem skills. And we've been able to do that by adding the Lego robotics curriculum into our 6th grade computer classes. This grade of coding and robotics class that all of our 6th grade students take. This effort was spearheaded by Mrs. Michelle McKee, who retired at the end of last year. But it's continued with our new computer robotic team, Madison. Mr. Adamson and some of the students are here tonight to give you all a brief demonstration of some of the work they do in their coding and robotics classes. And it's all set up back there on the tables. I want to get up so you can move around and see what exactly is.
Come on down if you want to see. Tom said, I am Jim Adamson. I teach computers here. Most of the we spearheaded a new program across the district. I'm Patriot Chris McKenzie over at John Deere teaching the same class. It is a brand new program from Amazon that Packard put down together, and it's incredibly coding heavy. And the kids get a great opportunity to scratch platform to code a variety of things and programs and AI, and it's wonderful. This is one slight component of it. Because it's one thing to do it all first. It's completely another piece to take what you're coding and now slap it into the real world and make it. So we have our Lego board that we brought down. We have 4. Yeah, we got 4 keyboards upstairs. We're able to bring up students here. This is Sark Bowser and Warren Farron, both 6th graders in one of my classes. In another class, I have Adolin Park and Mila Bosikovich. She's the fun one. And they're going to show us some of what they've been doing the last week. Mr. Bean came to me and he's like, "Hey, can you just come and show what you do in class?" I'm like, "We got a Lego robotics team. We got us." He's like, No. Show what the average kid does in the robotics class. And I want to see what everyone does. So every kid in the 6th grade is coding and doing robotics. So Mila, you want to go first with Byron, or you want to go first? No, Mila, go first with supply. So Mila, walk us through this mission. Outside the wish.
And it's what happens. Yeah, you build that. That's how it works.
So the kids coded all of this ahead of time in our Lego robotics platform. So everything we do is completely autonomous. They code it ahead of time, put it on the board, go. And it's just a lot of the engineering side of the STEM of design, test, iterate, go again, design, test, iterate. So run your supply room.
They, I didn't have that one. Don't worry, that's the part of the light response.
Okay.
All this was coded ahead of time by the two in this past meeting class.
Yeah, I didn't believe it. No way, I didn't took it one. Second. Yeah, figure out that.
Hey, I got it. Thanks, Mila and Evelyn. Certainly. Yeah, what you can tell us about.
This.
Almost. Satisfaction. Oh. It was all part of the big O experience. So they've been working this last couple of weeks, and then we'll go back and get into more serious coding and then conditional where the computer's actually having to make decisions and reword it what it's actually doing. And then we'll come back in January and they'll recode on a whole other level with having to communicate with the robot. So thank you very much. Let's give it up for our fourth speaker. Okay.
Space, all the money we spent to put into that black hole.
Thank you very much.
To share some information tonight. Excuse me. They're all very curious as to where the district is at in the academic recovery process. The annual school report card is something that the State Board of Education uses to measure performance for school districts across the state of Illinois. So just as a reminder, the data from this presentation from this report card is a reflection of last school year. So we get the raw data in the summer, and we have a couple of months to review it, and then that data goes public in October and ready to present to you tonight. So school designations were suspended during the pandemic and have now returned. And it really just offers a complete picture of our performance across a variety of different metrics for school personnel, families, community, and so on. It is very normal outside of a pandemic for performance to fluctuate. Many things change: enrollment, demographics, and expectations. I put this picture in for my own little entertainment. This is the Illinois School Code from 1998 and the Illinois School Code book from 2018. So just a reflection of how expectations are constantly changing. Some major themes. Last year, we saw dramatic declines in academic achievement, or excuse me, during the pandemic,
during 2020 and 2021, and higher rates of absenteeism, statewide, remote, and hybrid learning requirements. Last year, so our first full year back, students on average grew at faster rates than their comparable peers in 2019. So we have been off to a really great recovery process. So if we think about 2019 to where we are at right now, 2022, and we really want to compare. We really want to compare so we can mentally wrap our heads around how we're doing. But to compare 2019 to 2022 assumes that similar conditions and contexts were in place, and that was absolutely not the case. So this year's data, which is a reflection of last school year, is really what I would call our new baseline. The past few years saw changes in degrees of impact to nearly every single school-based measurement. So for today's presentation, just for a little perspective, my tenure in this analysis, 19 and 20, my first year here, pandemic hits in the spring. Of course, the report card was seriously impacted. 2020 and 2021 was year 2 of the pandemic, definitely impacted. Last year was year 3, our first full year back, and that's the data for tonight's presentation. And then of course, we are into year 4. The presentation will cover the annual summative designations for our schools. The district itself does not receive a collective designation. Each school operates independently and receives its own measure of success. I'll remind the Board of Education and community what makes up the report card, what are the indicators, what are the metrics, what's new and what's out. Remember, I talked about those changing expectations. You just sort of wait and see what's going to happen and what changes. And then I will provide a district overview of our teacher data, our student data, our financial data, and our district climate and culture data. So what are summative designations? The state of Illinois, the State Board of Education, rates each school. There are 852 school districts in the state of Illinois, and each school will receive a summative designation. It's given annually, and it's used to identify the performance of schools. If a school is identified as targeted, they launch into a 4-year process of school improvement, even though they might bounce back right away the next year. So the state board really wraps a multitude of supports around any school that might have an underperforming student population group. These are the 4 possible summative designations. Exemplary, that would be the top 10% of all the schools in the state of Illinois. Commendable, that means the performance is somewhere from 68% to 90%. Targeted would be if one particular student group might be underperforming in comparison to the others. And comprehensive is a school performing in the lowest 5% of the state. Just a quick little snapshot of what makes up the report card. There's a lot of data. There's a lot of weighted metrics. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of a snapshot. You can see a slight difference from elementary and middle to the high school in terms of requirements. So graduation rate is half of the high school score. In there, you have proficiency of our core subject areas, chronic absenteeism, and a few other metrics like 9th graders on track and English language learner proficiency. Conversely, over on the elementary side, there is way more weight put into growth of math and growth of English language arts. So that's just a quick little reminder of what are the metrics that make up a school's designation. There have been a lot of changes, as we said. We're always waiting to see what those changes are going to be. This is very technical stuff, so I won't get into it a whole lot, but the state made a lot of adjustments the last couple of years. As an example, the science assessment went from participation to proficiency just last year. There was an added year for English language learners to meet their goal. There was some change in rates for proficiency targets, just to name a few. So quite a few technical changes for districts over the pandemic, quite a few concessions, so we can keep moving forward in a positive way. And if there's ever any additional questions about digging into these technical pieces a little bit more. I'm always happy to answer those, and you do have copies there in front of you as well. Couple of new things. The state has really put a heavy focus on career-based metrics, work readiness experiences. We know this is really, really important now more than ever. So we have some new measures. Couple I would like to highlight are career and technical education participant. This is defined as any high school student enrolled in at least one career and technical ed course and has a course outcome of pass, has at least taken the class. And last year we rated 946 students. This is like 45%. That's a great rate considering students are still in catch-up mode. Some of them are taking double English classes, double math classes, double PE classes to regain credits that they might have lost during the pandemic. And a CTE concentrator is a student in at least one classification of instructional program that is completing the cluster. So you might have remembered in Dr. Bates' secondary presentation where we have the CNC manufacturing cluster, the welding, the engineering, we're adding grow your own, all of those different things. We have nearly 500 students, 467 students that have completed an entire package of a pathway. And again, that's the first year back from the pandemic. So again, I call this our new baseline. Our students are moving in the right direction despite all the barriers that they faced the last couple of years. So these are the old ways of sort of measuring career and technical education or college and career readiness. Just again, a couple of technical changes in the language and how districts are rated on their career readiness. So this is how a summative designation is calculated. Our performance data is collected. The data is converted to an indicator score. It's weighted based on those wheels of elementary and middle and then high school. And then every district in the state, all 852 are put in rank order. And that's it. If you're in the top 10% of that list, you're exemplary. If you're at the bottom, you're comprehensive, and everybody else is in between. So this is just a sample of that exact process. All of the districts are lined up in K8, and all of the districts are lined up in 912, and they just sort of use a cut score and they cut them right off. Everybody in the top 10% is exemplary. Everybody down here is comprehensive, and all the other districts are in the middle. Again, just an example. So here is where we are. These are the designations for all of our schools for the last school year. You can see that the majority of our schools have been rated commendable. That is fantastic. I'd also would like to note a couple of schools that have made great progress the last couple of years. Again, given the barriers that our students and our staff have faced academically, social, emotionally, they're still moving forward. That's the message to the community. Our district is still moving forward. Both of our middle schools currently have one student group that is lower performing than the others, and that has caused them to receive a targeted label. And so they are going to enter into the Illinois Empowered School Improvement Process. It's not a terrible thing in terms of what it means for our students moving forward. It really is a lot of resources and supports, professional development, a lot of the school-based teams working together to see how can we move the needle on this one particular student group and help our children with disabilities move forward in their academic progress. So these are the summative school ratings for our district for last school year. Again, how those two middle schools will be supported, they will receive additional funding through a grant. And they will be able to use those monies for a period of years to bring in specialists, to bring in consultants, to provide more PD for their staff, and a variety of different other resources to help them navigate the improvement process, which doesn't happen in 1 year. You're really changing processes, and that's why it's a multi-year process. District snapshot for teachers. I tried to highlight all the growth and positive changes like green. We have just under 500 teachers, over half have a master's degree or higher. Our retention rate went up 3%. That means when folks are coming here, they're getting a teaching position here, and the majority of them are staying here. That is great for our community. That's great for our kids, and something that we can all, as a community, be proud of. People's perception of their district school takes all of us in the entire community. So something to feel really proud about. Our teacher to student ratio and our average class size, those numbers have been excellent. All of the extra resources we've been during the pandemic. Enrollment, our home housing enrollment is 7,249 students. You can see the demographic breakdown of our various student populations. And I also put in where we were at last year. So you can see the demographics and the shift of our student population and how those are changing throughout the years. A couple of other metrics over here. Our students rating for free and reduced lunch. I'd like to qualify that last year, meals were still free as a function of a COVID relief package by the federal government. So families were not necessarily filling out the free and reduced lunch paperwork. So I don't believe that's an accurate number. I would guess we're some in the 55%, and that data will come out this year. I believe we're a little bit higher than that. I believe more than half of our students fall under free and reduced lunch status. Our students with disabilities, that is increasing slightly. Our homeless students as homeless is there. I didn't have last year's metric. I need to get that in there. Our English language learners right now are quite possibly our fastest growing student population. And I again note we have over 60 different languages spoken in the homes of our Moline Valley School District. And as of last month, we have now 58 Afghan refugee students in our district. Big shout out to those teachers, those principals, support staff, working together to make these students feel safe and comfortable so that they can be successful. Just a couple of things. I feel like we've done so much in the pandemic recovery response, but as a reminder, we really invested in two big buckets. We invested in people. We hired over 30 additional certified teachers to get them in front of our kids, to help with small groups, to help with assessment, to help co-teach, to bring those class size numbers down so kids can get more individualized attention. And all of that has proved to be beneficial for our students, beneficial for the other teachers, and it has really insulated us as a district from the national teacher shortage. Many of these individuals that have met our quality standard and are interested in staying with us will have the ability to switch into a permanent position at the end of this year. We implemented a pretty significant high school credit recovery plan to help those students, to make sure that we still got those kids across the finish line at the end of the year. We implemented 2 summers of aggressive summer school. We hired long-term subs to help our teachers and our kids have continuity of instruction. Of course, the teams completed the Aspire renovation. And we also invested heavily in air quality and ventilation. So as you know, we've got Jane Adams, and we have Logan, and we have Butterworth, whose systems are complete and in place, and we're now waiting to test those systems in the spring. And we've got 2 more schools in Chief Washington and Lincoln Irving, and plans and development and design and bidding. All of that is currently underway for those 2 for next summer. So that's just the snapshot. I couldn't list everything because I feel like so much has happened to help this district stay above water during this process. Just our overall district snapshot. All the light green are positive growth. I did put 2019 in there in blue as a caution. I put it in there because I know we all wanted it. So I put it there. But remember, comparing 2019 to right now or last year assumes that everything was the same. So that's really just a point of reference. The light green shows we are moving in the right direction. The academic recovery process is in full swing. Our graduation rate is jumping closer to where it was at 88%. Our ninth graders on track to graduate went up 10%. Our students taking AP and dual credit is approaching what it was pre-pandemic. 49% of grads enroll in a 2- and 4-year college within 12 months and 51% within 16 months. This is down about 5% pre-pandemic, but again, we're moving back to where we were. It's probably unwise to think that it'll all be corrected in 1 year. I believe what's happening this year is really solidifying that growth and improvement and change. Our 8th graders passing algebra 6%. This is a bit of a sidebar for us in our district. Majority of students in our district take algebra as freshmen. So this is one metric that the state chooses to measure, even though we have our currently anyway, curriculum set up in a slightly different way. Something we're looking at. Average daily attendance went up. That's fantastic. Chronic absenteeism went down. This really tanked during the pandemic. Totally tanked. And that was really just survival mode of teachers trying to figure out, how do I count a kid present on Zoom? You know, do they have to be there the whole time? How do I do that? So we're coming back to where we need to be. But attendance, I feel like it's always going to have to be something that we focus on. It's one of the best indicators of academic success is a student being in the classroom every day in front of a teacher, and even 1 or 2 absences can set a child back about the right school. Chronic truancy is down. Mobility of our students, unfortunately, is up slightly %. We know that this is an economic function of families moving from one neighborhood to another due to a job, due to a loss of a home, having to move in with somebody else. There's a lot of factors there. Math, just a quick snapshot. I know it might not be super easy to read. Math, we are seeing increased achievement. We're seeing pretty solid growth in math. Here's the interesting thing. This was the area that struggled the most when kids were remote. Okay, so what did we learn? Kids need to be in front of a teacher to really understand and comprehend math. Bingo, as if we didn't know that. Now we really know that. So now last year that our kids were in front of that teacher most of the time, that growth really catapulted and started to move forward. English language arts, they fared a little bit better during remote, but this is something that's a little bit slower to move, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So ELA is behind math now in terms of recovery, but it's still moving forward. Science, we're seeing movement forward, increased achievement in science, that's a good thing. Overall, moving in the right direction. All of these metrics are up. Kindergarten readiness, this has a lot to do with an investment in professional development for our kindergarten teachers to help that they really understand that assessment. So we're being able now to use that tool in a way to better understand our kinder kids coming in and their readiness to learn. We are seeing some very interesting things from our littles right now. It is very evident those kindergarten students are coming in having far less socialization than perhaps other classes of kinder students in the past, again, just as a result of the pandemic. Measures of academic progress, math. This is our benchmark that we administer 3 times a year. This is some good news here. So in red here, maroon, I should say, that's the headline. If I ran a newspaper, I would say the headline is 90% of grades and classes achieved at or above math's designated growth expectations. That's fantastic. The math standout grades 1, 2, 3, and 5. They're showing big jumps of acceleration. The headline I would say for English language arts, 66% of grades and classes achieved, I'm talking the 137 elementary classes that we have in all the middle school classes, at or above math growth, which is really positive given the complex developmental nature of learning to read. These are our reading standout grades. These grades are showing big jumps. They're making the most gains, the fastest, strong acceleration in reading. Interesting analysis by our curriculum department, digging into the map data. 2 groups taking longer to show significant gains. Our youngest, newest readers are K1, who were caught up in the learning to read phase during the pandemic. And our grades 4 and 5, who were in the reading to learn phase. So those bookend grades were impacted perhaps more negatively just because of the place that they were at in the reading development. So just some interesting analysis from our map data. Couple of reminders for graduation credits. Board of Education, along with many districts across the state of Illinois, implemented some changes for graduating classes across the state of Illinois. Our students this year are now back to the full amount. 21.5 credits are required for graduation. Some changes still, but the overall total amount of credits needed to graduate, we are now back on track with the Board of Education's 21.5 number of credits to graduate. And you can just see the variance breakdown. Just a little bit of financial reporting. I know you've had a lot of information from Mr. McDermott. Site-based expenditures is another metric the state looks at to ensure that we are spending our dollars equitably. In other words, are we spending the same amount of money at Roosevelt that we're spending at Franklin? Are we spending the same at Butterworth that we're spending at Lincoln Irving? And so on and so forth. And this is something that Moline-Eau Valley School District does really well. Our district spends its resources equitably across all schools. And our district per pupil expenditure is right at about $13,000. Evidence-based funding, you may have heard a lot about this from the governor. We are several years into this now. This is the state looking at all of our students. They look at our number of students with special needs, our number of EL students, our number of free and reduced lunch students, and they say out of all of these needs, you need this much money to properly educate those students. And right now, our district is at a tier 1 status, meaning we receive about 64% of what the state feels we need to properly and effectively educate our students. So this is pretty impressive, efficient use of dollars to get where we are, given the fact that according to the state's formula, we're operating at about 60% funding. Something to be really proud of. Last couple of slides here. District climate and culture is also really important. Anybody that knows an educator knows that the work is hard. And so the why always has to outweigh how hard the work is. So that's what our climate and culture is. We want our teachers and staff to feel so good about what they're doing that always beats the day-to-day struggles and the hardness of the work of being an educator. So we ask our staff every year 18 different questions just to gauge the pulse of the climate and culture of our staff. 17 out of the 18 metrics came in at above 70% and answering positively. I'm incredibly proud of that for a district our size. We have well over 1,000 employees. 16 out of 18 metrics improved greatly from last year. The other two went down slightly, but 16 out of 18 improved greatly. We have one district average below 70%, and that has to do with PD offerings. It actually improved from last year, but it's still slightly below 70%. And this is something that we're going to utilize our building leadership team process in the spring to really dig in with teachers to find out how can we look at professional development differently. One might say with 1,000 different employees, it's hard to provide PD that matches every single person's subtle nuanced needs, but it's a target we're chasing anyway. So that's something that we're working on. We have 3 district positive averages above 90%. My primary principal or supervisor provides me support to do my job. That is huge. There's an expectation at my school that we work together. Fantastic. And if I am struggling, I have someone to go to for support. Those are three metrics that I think are really great signs that are pulling in at above 90%. Here they all are. There's 18 of them. I've got our positive average from this fall. These are our numbers from last year. And this is what changed, the plus delta. I know it's probably a lot. Last year, this one was below 70%, and it increased up to an additional 9%, up to 78%. We have a number in the high 80s and 90s, which again, I think is fantastic for an organization our size. I've got sort of the light green shade for anything above 70%, and the pink shade for anything below 70%. This was last year. And then I have the rest of the metrics here. Again, these are last year. We got these two that were below 70% last year. They both made improvements. I'm a part of a decision when it affects me, went up 11%. And this is the PE offering to meet my needs. Made a jump, but still under 70%. So that's an area of growth for us, an opportunity that we're working on. So for two that went down, I mentioned 16 out of the 18 metrics went down. I feel safe and my site is prepared. So those are things that we need to work on and figure out what that means and why. I'm guessing it's a function of where we are at in our society right now, but we need to dig into it. I'm still grateful, even though they went down slightly, that we're still up in a pretty healthy 80% range for an organization our size. Again, something that we need to look into. I think it's safe to say that the climate and culture, how people feel about work, their why was in pretty decent shape, given the challenges that we've had the last few years. Just a couple of others, and I think we're almost in. Sorry, I know this is a lot of information. Some other positives: district staff are professional and courteous. Our administrators are helpful. Communication meets my needs, and we have communicated a clear vision. So things moving in the right direction. Last piece talks a little bit about 5 essentials. This is an annual survey that our teachers take and our kids and our families. And this is something that we're really digging into this year. We really haven't had the ability to do this before. And oh, there we go. It's coming. So this is kind of a new deep dive for us. Now that we've come out of the pandemic, the majority of our metrics, 72%, are neutral or positive. Those are the 5 categories: effective leaders, supportive environment, collaborative teachers, involved families in business instruction. This is a giant opportunity, and we're really excited to dig into this. We have had, this is our PACE goal, focused on 5 essentials. We've had professional development for our administrators. Our principals are receiving one-on-one coaching coming into the schools. We've got teachers digging into the data to better understand those questions. And we're really ramping up our parent communication around this as well. This is the last slide. I know it was a lot. Thank you. But remember our why. This is the mission of our district. We want to provide superior experiences and make sure kids are ready to become contributing and productive citizens. That's our goal. That's what we do. We need to stay the course. We are not fully recovered. We are on our way. It's going to take a little more time. We want to remember our strategic goals and make sure that we've got a systems approach aligning our resources. We want to celebrate the small wins. There's a lot of great things single day, small little miracles every single day. And lastly, shortly in our regular meeting, I'd like to ask the Board of Education to consider allowing us to launch into the portrait of a graduate process. This is a national process that really helps bring our community together: parents, staff, students, business owners, all sorts of people around our community, to help really establish who we are and what's important to us now as we launch out of the pandemic. What are our hopes and dreams? What are the skills and mindsets of our students that's important to this community? And how can we continue to shape our schools to maximize that vision? So that's a process I'd like to start in the spring. Thank you for sticking with me. I know there was a lot of information. I apologize, but it's once a year to really give this breakdown. I'm happy to answer any questions. Yes. I think they saw some of this coming and have already made shifts to how things are scheduled. Already made shifts to the day and how it looks for students to make sure that they have support throughout their day. Also looking at inclusion in terms of what percent of the day are students with special education peers, what percent of the day are they with general education peers, curriculum, all of it. Yes. Safety and safety from the council.
Hi, hello, everybody. I'm going to give you a safety update, reminding people of what do we do as a district, how we're reviewing some pieces, some excellent improvements, how are we proactive. Thank you, Sanders here with us. We're going to be talking about some of those proactive pieces. We're talking about what we do at the school level, communication, and some improvements and focus that we're doing. I'm going to start to be moving here as part of our juvenile, part of the juvenile department for police department. Great partner. We have a lot of great partners that help us with school safety. So it's not been at a district level, we have common expectations that we constantly have to review. We have to end up coming back. So these are just a few. Exterior doors locked. Signage. In fact, we just had a safety committee meeting. District safety meeting last week where we have proper signage. Many of those safety committee members are here to Kristen, myself, Dave, and Craig. And that we also look at our security entrance or buzz in. We still use the Raptor system. We're actually end up reviewing numbers of the Raptor system, of how they're utilized, which buildings have variants in their usage to it, and then providing professional development and support to make sure that we're all on the same page, ensuring that we have the things implemented. Every school district has a variety of safety cameras. The county something that also looks at safety cameras and where are they at, where do we need them. Trying to end up striking the right balance, being financially responsible, but also making sure that we're keeping safety as a priority. And then IT security plans and business defined devices. And this is something mandated, but Greg and I have been part of a team that has been looking at what are some of the safety components that are behind the scenes of every device so that we can make sure that there's no threats coming through students, threats to themselves, and threats to each other. We're going to end up looking at something that we feel is going to end up being the better possible solution for that. And we're going to end up piloting that in February. We always want to end up looking at this technology is rapidly changing to make sure that we have the best product forward and spending dollars in this possible. Our district safety team meets 4 times a year, and each one of those agendas are set so that we make sure that we never skip any important information. So, like on the last one, we reviewed signage, but we also reviewed professional development. In summer, we review tech needs that we might have. So we have 4 different meetings set with 4 different agendas. Doesn't mean that we don't add pieces to it, but there's certain things that we feel are important that we don't want to miss out on. So that's why we have standing agenda topic items. As you know, every school performs all of our drills, and we do those in partnership with police, with the fire department. We also end up doing some internal monitoring too, so that there's cabinet members who are next to schools who help and support, so school has just a liaison. And then we also end up having our principals make sure that we log in, when are they planning on doing those spaced out. I would like to give a shout out to our principals. We take this very seriously. We've never had that conversation with us that have come back and said, you're not taking this seriously. We're doing reunification drills. I'll talk about that. Another slide later. We require ID badges, and Chris is going to go into this. We also are doing threat assessments to make sure that we're providing safety and being proactive in that, and have just gone through and reevaluating that threat assessment.
So. Like. We really want to try to prevent those things from being super necessary. So to that end, we have obvious mental health support in place in schools to help our kids. So that includes our elementary counselors, our Robert M. school-based counselors, who's seeing 152 kids now in our district, and all psychiatrists. We want to save the health point for our health one. Last year, that's right, de-escalation for all schools and all staff last year. We've instituted a lot of trauma and more practice with mandatory measures. Some of our discipline procedures. There's a couple different ways that families can report bullying. And most schools can report bullying both state. The crisis line is called care line and so fast, and so at times when we have students that we are not able to bring back around call the care line, they will come out and do a mental health assessment and cover the parents with a lot of supplies when they had significant behavior that happens more often than so that looks it can look a few different ways depending on the situation. You as a school board has approved our press, our model policy and our procedures for threat assessment. Our threat assessment procedures are based on the Virginia Tech model, which is considered the standard for threat assessment, behavioral threat assessment. So the district has an oversight team to make sure that our threat assessment procedures are as up to date as possible. And then each building has a building level team that actually completes those when needed. That team has that team in each building is composed of this building administrator, sometimes a school counselor, as well as a psych. Our district administrators all have assessment center training. We've also sent teams that building level teams to trainings for doing behavior threats. Part of that threat assessment tends to be associated with some sort of discipline event that happens at school that can trigger a referral for that. And so a lot of times we're not sure if we need to do one. So the building level administrator will make a referral for that. And some information is collected. As part of that information, our building SRO or the SRO that's assigned to that particular will assist in determining the nature of the perceived threat. will help in us determine, we don't say, anymore, we don't say that it's, what's the word? Credible or not credible, we just say, do we have enough information right now that we think we need to do a complete one? It's pretty hefty. Sometimes we don't think we need to do a complete one, but we want to do something, so we created an abbreviated version this year that allows us to follow up, do an assessment, and then follow up with some sort of support for the student safety plan, whatever that team might decide. Those threat assessment documents are shared with the regional office of education, as well as the local police department. That is required. So we recently revised our threat assessments. Some of the no matter what, even having a referral for it, that people, there's always some sort of action result from it. Like it's a transient threat, substance to do, still want to follow up with that to make sure that we're addressing.
From the school level, like I said, we have the buzzers, Raptor system is important. This will end up school. We have the system in, so if there's an ID, it's your ID scan, and then going through checking against cases for threats. There's a mobile threat connected to the Raptor system, so that there's notification that happens. We're actually going there and instead evaluating how we buildings, our school resource officers, provide vital assistance, school safety plans are reviewed regularly. Back I said to collecting dust. Very accurate to say they have to end up through them. Go through the school year as well. Exterior doors may close a lot throughout the school day. The company going and swimming activities. Sometimes it's sometimes difficult, but the thing is, I think it's important. We don't really stress this, and we have to make sure that those comply. Signage again is important. Doing that, again, end up saying our last meeting. Signage is appropriate across the buildings. That's tweaks and clarification in high school, but so far, so good. And what we really end up doing with point situation, we have an activity. First off, let's go down to the bottom and say, let you out. That's what we practice communication. But really, and I think too is that if you can't, then you barricade, then you buy it. Back Friday, practiced. And then we also practice stay home, stay out. So this is the reunification. We're flipping out how we do this. One, we end up having 1 year, we'll end up having our staff on a half day, Wednesday, go through their reunification time. So we have a department where that safe spot that they connections with the principal regular reviews, leadership at that place, with the church, it'll be a facility. Go with the staff, they practice it. Okay, this is your role, this is your role, this is your role. What does this look like? Where are we going to be at? This is how it all goes down. So it really gets great. Then the following year, they practice reunification drill with students. Now that's a larger drill and it is bigger deal to play. And the larger the school, then where partners at, the more difficult it is to complete. And honestly, we had to work through a lot of just take the nice with it. That many students trying to back with education. So we had to end up working with when we do it in the basis, how can we end up doing education in the common part? Perhaps by utilizing video with teacher education and then new basis. Because there is the potential for some, depending on where your unification site is at, we could actually block traffic. Enough students trying. But we were able to do that. Successfully. Safety communication, as you know, we use Remind. New this year is on the alerts. We wrote a grant with the Moline Police Department on the alerts. One of those pieces is for our administration and specific members in the school. The difference with Remind and on the alert is Remind is going to we all here get reminded something fast. Right? On the alert is going to end up being in police and administration, key office personnel, and will take over your phone with app and blast something out, and give you a text, give you an email, get a voicemail. I mean, if on the alert goes on, we can take it serious. And because this is new, we'll start practicing this within our drills because you don't want a bit of an unfortunate situation to go on. We've got to practice now. So we have practice. We've done a ton of work. They helped us out. Frank was really instrumental, putting in a lot of data to get into the point that we can have the right scenarios. We do still have traditional modes of communication just to warn people this is what happened, this is what's going on. Updates on the website. P3 is a tip line that we've had and continue to use. Safe to Help is new. Illinois has now gone onto this. I believe we've had 2 reports from Safe to Help so far since it's come on. We've got update groups in there. It's a little clumsy first getting it, but Illinois has adopted Safe to Help and they advertise if there's an issue. You can anonymously call into here, and then they vet through the issues in 3 different ways, like critical life issue, one very low, I think stressing is spoiling the cafeteria, and then they also had medium one. It's like some professional support there, and so that's Illinois Safe to Help. It's one of those things that most of us didn't really hear of, and as time goes on, you might see an ad here or something there. On the website for Illinois Safe to Help, there are tools, tips, tricks. So if anyone needs help or support some students, as a parent, it's also been done. And in fact, at the school board convention, Illinois Safe to Help was there to talk about it as well. Event security, as you know, this is something we ended up starting with football games, and we have now moved on to events at the field house. We have heightened security measures that we've worked with the police department on. We've had bag policy, no loitering or gathering, being with the right and making sure that we don't have additional issues. And then finally, we have some additional support. ROE helps us with all inspections for our safety, make sure that we're applying all the pieces. The fire department, you come on site with us and helping us with fire drills. The Moline Police Department has a safety presence in a lot of different ways, from education to one-on-one support with us, and it's also part of our active shooter drill performance and looking to do special involvement with staff and administrators. I'm going to turn over to police department now. Sure.
Hi, again, my name is Nate Hoover. I'm starting over our juvenile investigations division. So our juvenile investigation is kind of broken down. We have a lieutenant with my boss, that's Lieutenant Andrew, and then myself. And we have 2 full-time assigned detectives that handle a lot of child crimes and a lot of sex crimes. And we have 4 detectives who serve as our SROs or our liaisons. And they're at obviously John Deere, Wilson, Aspire to high school. So our breakdown, see it, is myself and Lieutenant Raya. And then right now we only have 1 of the 2 full-time juvenile investigators, Director Lopez, John Deere's Josh McManus. And you see then the every SRO has then assigned elementary schools. So there's a breakdown that covers Hamilton and Willard. Detective Long is here at Wilson. She covers also Jane Adams, Butterworth, Franklin, Washington. Detective Newell's at Moline High School. He doesn't get assigned elementary schools because they're so busy at the high school. He just doesn't have the time. Not a good resource for an elementary school. Then we have Detective Maurer at Aspire, and he wears a lot of hats because he deals with Aspire. He helps Detective Newell since Aspire is right there next to the high school. He's been a valuable asset there this year. He also covers this Bicentennial, Logan, Jefferson, Roosevelt. All of our SROs go through certification through the state of Illinois, and we work closely with DCFS, the Child's Advocacy Center in Rock Island. We work closely with Robert Young. We work closely with a lot of social workers and things like that to try and like provide resources for kids. These SROs are really near and dear to my heart because I was one at John Deere and then I got started at the high school, but the relationships that our SROs build with our students is really, really special. So some of the things we go through to become SROs, they're normal police officers. They get signed on, they work beat, they work patrol, and then they get selected if they put in for these positions. They are pretty coveted positions because you wear a lot of hats, but you also get a lot of opportunities to grow and learn. This is a way different job than being a patrol. Patrol is, you know, typical cop function. SRO is a way different element. You're not in the police building. You're not around cops all the time. You're around kids. You're not around criminals all the time. You're around quote unquote normal people, right? You're around teachers. You're around you're just a completely different role. So it just feels different. I remember that first couple of weeks being an SRO feeling like this is so different, but it's so cool because it just allowed me to grow in so many ways. So there's more police officers, then they go through the training, become certified Illinois juvenile police officers. Now, they're certified at LETSB, school resource officers, and LETSBs are Illinois Training and Standards Board of Police. So it's additional certifications and trainings that we can get are ALICE, which is our active shooter response in school. That's what we do. And then active shooter instructor, crisis intervention team training, student behavior assessment training, one Mrs. Sanders talked about. Lots of other classes involving all these other things, child abuse, sex abuse, sexting, sex crimes, computer crimes, lots of different things. Typical day in an SRO's world is multi-dimensional. I mean, they could control traffic in the morning, then they could go to a fight, and then they could deal with a kid who wants to come in and talk about how they're abused in the home. Then they could talk about girls or boys who are, you know, dealing with cyberbullying. I mean, and then they cover lunchroom duty, cafeteria security. They're always, security is our number one thing throughout the school, so it can always be something different. The definition by NASRO, which is the National Association of School Resource Officers, it's an officer who by federal definition is a real law enforcement officer with sworn authorities employed by an employing police department or agency in community-oriented policing assignment work in collaboration with one or more schools. So they are cops. They work for the police department, but they're a liaison and we partner with our schools. Obviously, number one, we're here for safety. We work directly with our schools and our admins to evaluate and prevent any potential threats to the school building. We're always looking to, is there a threat? Is there a way we can make our schools safer, make our buildings safer? Our SROs take great ownership of their buildings with their staff. Mr. Thompson, Mr. Brown could probably test the relationship with Detective Blood. Just how much they work as a team. It's not just a cop's in the building, a cop's cop thing in the school building. A cop really becomes part of the team in the school, and they really just build a good team environment and we try to bring it's not an element. So we work with our schools. We're in our buildings full time, so they start their day at the police department and come straight here. They spend their entire day here, come back to the police department and go straight home. They always drive squad cars because we want to have a marked presence out in front of the schools, so let people know we're here. We talk a lot about safety, but we also get in the classroom. We do presentations for narcotics, for bullying, for fighting, what students are expected to do. We run and monitor our P3 campus app, and so we get all the tips that come through, whether it be someone's suicidal or I heard someone's fight so. We get all those things along with the school. We use OmniAlert just like the school does, and along with some of the grants we've written, we've also put in citywide cameras all over the city. We put in, I think, almost 200 cameras throughout the city. And we targeted our schools specifically to put cameras at major intersections throughout the city, around schools, so where we can track kids coming and going from school, where if something happens, we caught on that visual system. So we send training workshops with our schools. We review and final safety procedures and policies. We talk with them a couple times every year about what their policies are, how we implement safety procedures. We're involved in all of these, all the drills that we just talked about. The SROs that are working with that. All our SROs are really capable of their camera systems within the school. Each school has its own camera system, so we're well versed in using all those things. So we work really hand in hand with our school. The other thing that is pretty cool there, we partner with our school district, is we have key cards in all of our patrol vehicles to get into a school, so in elementary school or high school, that key card will work for every school. So if there is a crazy situation, and there's a patrol unit close by, and we get that call that we need to go and get in that school and help, we have the ability to get into that school. We don't have to wait for somebody to open and lock doors. Our schools are awesome if they're locked down and nobody can just get inside. That creates a problem if we need to get inside, but we have that ability because of this team. And our district is awesome about providing us that resource. And our SROs constantly are constantly going to more training. Mr. Thompson, Mr. Brown can probably attest how many days Detective Lives not been here this year. She knows when she's not here, but she's gone to training. She's trying to better herself. And this is the biggest thing, is our relationships matter. And I can't speak enough just about how close of a relationship we have with our school district and our police officers. We love our schools. I personally can attest to students who, I remember even Chris and Sanders back in the day, we talked to students, together that had some issues. Those students have grown up to become adults. Some of the students that had are now police officers, now they're coworkers. I was just hanging out with one in a class today. I mean, the whole, but this relationship to me does a lot of good. So thank you all for your support for us, because it allows us to really connect with not only teachers and educators, but our kids.
We were talking about how to end this presentation. A lot of times you kind of get the slide, thank you, or questions. And we thought this is like the best thing to end up talking about what school safety really means, at least to us. We talked often about it's not contentious. We also have a good relationship when we talk about that appropriate line, because we want to make sure that everyone is doing things appropriately for students to help elevate the learning environment for people. We have to have relationships with partners on the police department, the fire department, our reunification sites. We have to have relationships with those people as well. And really, this is the capstone mantra for school safety that's in place in schools.
I do. Our students have to wear their badges, correct? Okay. And do we have the new suicide numbers posted?
Yeah, middle schools and high schools.
From the back.
In terms of numbers, I guess, in three, the really reporting stuff under that, but assessment, have those, how are we seeing, the second baseline? Marketing, but how are we seeing those numbers change, especially if everything back in and
Well, I can tell you about the online bullying, because I get those. And the majority of, and this is true nationwide, bullying really peaks in middle school. And so the majority of those reports come through as kids learn that they have a voice, they don't always know how to use it. And so I would say that's the largest chunk of bullying reports comes through our two middle schools. Next is the high school district. It's actually, we have not had as many reports this school year compared to last school year. Last school year, even though kids were kind of in and out, they still had access to social media and the ability to cyberbully, even if it wasn't in person. And so we'll take both reports. It's actually a bit down this year compared to last year.
I just want to say that
I don't know that people realize that Moline relationship with our police department is superior to what we have around us. And just the relationship that it's phenomenal and we appreciate it.
Yes.
As a parent, and community member and a board member, I thank you for that relationship being built. Do you have a unification
Reunification drills typically end up happening this spring. So we did learn, when I said there's logistics, one of those logistics is weather. You know, especially as you might be commenting on what you can say.
Hamilton's was last spring and it was raining. But we did it anyway in the rain because we had the police lined up and they were gonna stop traffic on 7th Street, so we did it anyway.
Yeah, there's times where we've rescheduled.
Yeah.
It's just going to keep raining no matter.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll have, I need a motion to adjourn.
So,
All in favor?
Board of Education at Wilson Middle School on December 12th, 2022. I think I roll call.
Audrey Adamson.
Here.
Dustin Anderson. Seth Esmet.
Here.
Kate Schaefer. Here. Maria Estradero.
Here.
Andrew Wayer.
Here.
Aaron Walter Smith.
Here. Please all rise. The flag over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now it's my privilege to introduce our brand new student. Down here. Right. Right. You're spinning in. They're on your, oh, they're on too, yes. So there's one. In your, no trip. Yes, we were on. And then I have like pictures of blood and brown. Okay, you could maybe some. Yeah. Yeah, that's better. Okay, you'll repeat after me. You'll say your name. So I'm Corinne Holmes. I am associate of Sarah. You solemnly swear. Solemnly swear. I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of student advisory member of the Board of Education, Wellington Valley School District in accordance with the Illinois School Code. Okay.
That I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of student advisory member of the Board of Education of the Moline Valley School District in accordance with Illinois School Code.
I further swear that
I further swear that
I shall encourage and respect free expression of opinion by myself and fellow board members, fellow Board of Education members.
I shall encourage and respect free expression of opinion by myself and fellow Board of Education members. Sorry.
As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district.
As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district.
I shall serve as the education on behalf of students and our community school to advance the vision for the Moline-Cole Valley School District.
Shall serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students in our community schools to advance the vision for the Moline-Cole Valley School District, and
I shall strive to work together with the superintendent to lead the school district toward fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the area of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development.
I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district toward fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development.
You're excited, you're here. We are excited you are here. To the approval of the minutes of the open session of the regular board of education on November 4th. 2020. I have a roll call.
So moved.
We had a motion. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Now could I have a roll call? All in favor? Are you? Tell me to get it on. All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Okay, we have no communication, public comment, or participation. So now we are at the public. We will now begin the hearing of the tax levy. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the tax? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to the tax levy? Is there anyone who wishes to speak neither for nor against the tax levy, but wishes to offer additional information? All right. All the testimony that we've taken in the hearing of the tax levy is now closed in the form 1. Hearing no public comment, we will now close the hearing of the. All right, consent agenda. The recommended motion is the Board of Education approve the actions contained in the consent agenda as presented. I have a motion.
Second.
Can I have a roll call?
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Dennis Smith.
Aye.
Maria Espargaro.
Aye.
Andrew Ware.
Aye.
Kate Camper. Aaron Walter Smith.
Aye. Number 9 is the approval of the resolution for the 2022 tax levy. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education of the Moline-Cole Valley School District number 40, Rock Island County, Warren, Illinois, adopt the resolution approving the official tax levy as listed. Second. Discussion. All right, could I have a roll call?
Audrey Adamson.
Aye.
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Dennis Smith.
Aye.
Maria Espargaro.
Aye.
Andrew Ware.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer. Aaron Walter Smith.
Aye. Number 10, the approval of the resolution for the 2022 tax abatement. Recommended motion is the Board of Education approve the resolution approving all of the property taxes heretofore levied for the year 2022 to be debt service, general obligations, school bonds, alternative revenue source series 2018 community unit school district number 40, Rock Island County, Illinois. Discussion? Hearing none. Can I have a roll call, please?
Justin Anderson.
Aye.
Dennis Smith. Maria Espargaro. Andrew Ware.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer. Audrey Adamson. Aaron Walter Smith.
Aye. All right, before request and open discussion.
Very good, thank you. Just as a reminder, in January, the Board of Education approved a new evaluation program for the superintendent. And at the January 9th board meeting, the company will lead a training and onboarding session with board members virtually. So you all can begin to familiarize yourself with that program. This is the last week before winter break. There are lots of great opportunities this week to see our student talent at every level of our organization and district. We are incredibly proud of not only our students, but also for our teachers, staff, and families for providing a positive learning environment where students feel safe and comfortable to excel. I also wanted to take a moment to recognize our many amazing community partners. We are grateful and fortunate to have so many amazing organizations and other local and regional entities that work diligently to keep our schools on the forefront of all that they do. The presentation with the Moline Police Department is just one example. We are in the process of creating a master list of community partners, and once finalized, we plan to reach out to each and every one of them to express our gratitude and appreciation. I do have some incoming numbers for ShareJoys. As you know, what appears on the outside to be just a lot of shenanigans is actually service learning at its finest. And I think it's a great time to have our student advisory board members to maybe share a little bit about their experience. It is my understanding that over $55,000 was raised in just those few short days. So congratulations. Would either of you like to say a few words about the experience?
Yes, something new this year. I'm president of Minority Leaders of Tomorrow at Moline, and we wanted to combine that club with Latinos Unidos just to make our tent bigger and attempt to learn more about each other and understand each other a little bit better. So we put on a ShareJoys Violet, and to get into ShareJoys, we had to pay 4 ShareJoys tickets, the equivalent to $2. To get in, we had food. Koya's donated food to us. Rancherita, Elba Poor. Is that it?
I feel like there's one more we're missing, but
There might be one more, but those were all donations, and we had a little group come and we had live music. So that was a really good event, not only the name of ShareJoys, but just learning more about each other and sharing that. So
Fantastic. Ava?
Yeah, I agree with Corinne. It was a really good opportunity to get the student body together. One, just to enjoy each other and each other's learning about each other. But ShareJoys really did give us that opportunity, and we were able to raise money in order to give back to our communities. It was really good.
Yeah. I understand that some of the students have already begun to go shopping. I think students at Wilson today actually went to begin their shopping. And Mr. Thompson was sharing, I'm not sure if he's in here still, that just the kids were so surprised at everything that they were able to get. So those dollars stay right in our community, and they clothe like 375 students. And I believe that has even been expanded to not only get their needs, coats, hats, pants, boots, all of that kind of stuff, but maybe a few wants along with those needs that our students so appreciate. So thank you all for your student leadership and that of your peers for this service learning tradition in the Moline Valley School District. It's second to none. I've not ever seen anything like that in my career, generating that kind of dollars, and it all stays right here in our community. So thank you so much. And lastly, I would just want to wish the board and the community a safe and happy and healthy winter break. Healthy is the exclamation mark. There's a lot going around. We hope everybody can stay safe and healthy this winter break.
I have a couple of things for the financial report. A few of us went to the School Board of Education conference back in November. At the time we approved the Simmons Club. I just wanted to share something that I learned while I was there. Audrey and I went to a pretty big equity training that I'm hoping that we can share on a more in-depth basis, maybe with the work session here in the future. I really learned a lot from that. I also sat in on Dr. Wayne will appreciate this, on the importance of data and informing our choices through data. One of the things I was really proud of is they talked about panorama quite a bit and how important it is. This was during the meeting, so it's good to know that we were on the right track. And when I spoke with the speakers, he was very impressed on how we did implement panorama in our district, so I just wanted to share that. I also went to how to evaluate your superintendent. So I knew how we could do it better and how to work with Dr. Savage. And I think us having that program is really going to line up with what they talked about. So I'm really, really excited about what we learned and going forth. And the other thing I just wanted to share, or I let Dave take the stage, is that we are in school board elections season.
And I just wanted to share that for any of those people who have picked up a packet and decided to run for school board, we thank you because it is a difficult job and it means you're investing in our community, and that is appreciated. I just wanted to say that the Illinois State Board of Education has incredible resources. And if you're new to running for the board, that is a great place to start. So you know what it really means, what it looks like. It also goes through school law. If you're elected, the training that will be required. This is a board that values ethics and doing the right thing. This is a board that values working as a team. This is a board that values letting personal belief systems not get in the way of us making a decision for our students and our community. And I hope here in the future, with current members or new members coming on, that we will keep on that test. Dave McDermott?
I really have nothing except what I shared unless you have questions, but that's the first time you've seen the financial report since the AFR was finalized. So if you have questions, let me know.
Last thing I want to say before we adjourn is we are really excited you're here. This time, open discussion is a great time for you guys to share what you think, concerns, give us feedback. We are really excited for your thoughts and everything. Is there any discussion on any topic? Okay. Hearing none, I would like to say about adjourn. Okay. So all in favor? Anyone opposed? No, all right.